In the golden age of Hollywood, glamour ruled the screen, but behind the camera, scandals, secrets, and shocking crimes. Some of the biggest stars from the 1930s to the 1960s found themselves accused of jaw-dropping criminal behavior. In this video, we're counting down 12 unbelievable crimes Hollywood legends were accused of. Some were guilty, others walked free, but all of them left the world stunned. Let's begin. Errol Flynn, the dashing star of swashbuckling classics like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, had a reputation as a ladies' man both on and off the screen. But in 1942, his personal life sparked a national scandal when he was accused of statutory rape by two underage girls, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley. Flynn was 33 at the time, the girls were just 16 and 17. The trial quickly turned into a media circus. Flynn denied the accusations, claiming the encounters were either consensual or didn't happen at all. He hired a high-powered legal team, and fan clubs sprang up in his defense. The phrase "in like Flynn" became both a rallying cry for his supporters and a sinister reminder of the charges. Flynn was ultimately acquitted in 1943, but the trial left a lasting stain on his public image. Some fans saw him as unfairly targeted because of his fame, while others viewed him as a predator who used charm to escape justice. Flynn's career did continue, but the scandal lingered for the rest of his life. He died at just 50 years old, leaving behind a legacy of fame, talent, and troubling controversy. Charlie Chaplin, perhaps the most recognizable figure of early cinema, found himself embroiled in one of Hollywood's earliest morality scandals in the 1940s. At the height of his fame, Chaplin's personal life was chaotic, especially his relationships with much younger women. In 1944, he was accused of violating the Mann Act, a federal law that prohibited transporting women across state lines for immoral purposes. The woman at the center of the case was actress Joan Barry. Their brief relationship ended badly, and when she later became pregnant, she claimed Chaplin was the father. Despite inconclusive blood tests, a judge ordered Chaplin to pay child support. On top of that, the federal government pursued criminal charges under the Mann Act. The trial was humiliating. Prosecutors painted Chaplin as a degenerate and a danger to American values. Though he was acquitted of the Mann Act violation, the scandal was a PR disaster. He became a political target during the rise of McCarthyism. In 1952, while traveling to London for a film premiere, Chaplin was barred from re-entering the U.S. He settled in Switzerland, living in exile for 2 decades. Despite his genius, Chaplin's American career was permanently derailed by scandal. In 1948, Robert Mitchum, the rugged star known for his sleepy-eyed charm and cool demeanor, found himself in serious legal trouble. At just 31 years old, Mitchum was arrested in Los Angeles after being caught smoking marijuana during a private party in Laurel Canyon. Police raided the home and found Mitchum and several others with cannabis, a big scandal at the time. When drug use was viewed as criminal and immoral, the arrest shocked Hollywood. Mitchum was at the peak of his career, starring in films like Out of the Past and The Story of G.I. Joe. The studio feared the worst, but Mitchum chose not to fight the charges. Instead, he pled no contest, was convicted, and served 60 days in jail. Followed by 2 years probation, rather than destroy his career, the incident boosted his image as a rebellious bad boy. Fans were fascinated by his indifference. Mitchum joked that prison was just like Palm Springs, but without the riffraff. The scandal faded, and he continued acting for decades, becoming one of Hollywood's most iconic tough guys. In the end, Mitchum turned a career-threatening charge into part of his legend. Ingrid Bergman was the radiant, wholesome star of Casablanca, Gaslight, and Spellbound, the epitome of grace and virtue in the 1940s. But in 1950, she shocked the world with a scandal that wasn't criminal under the law but considered a moral crime by many Americans. While still married to Swedish Dr. Petter Lindström, Bergman fell in love with Italian director Roberto Rossellini during filming in Europe. She became pregnant with his child, igniting a firestorm back home. The backlash was swift and severe. Churches condemned her. Newspapers labeled her immoral. A U.S. senator even denounced her on the Senate floor, calling her a powerful influence for evil. It was one of the most intense moral controversies in Hollywood history. Bergman was essentially exiled from American films. She married Rossellini, had their son, and continued making movies in Europe. Years later, She returned triumphantly, winning an Academy Award for Anastasia in 1956, but the scandal forever changed how she was perceived. Her story highlighted the double standards for women in Hollywood, where male stars could misbehave freely, but a woman's private choices could lead to national outrage. Ingrid's fall and rise is still studied today. Judy Garland was a beloved icon, the girl who followed the yellow brick road in The Wizard of Oz. But her life off-screen was far from magical. While not accused of a crime in the traditional sense, Garland's tragic descent into prescription drug addiction was heavily shaped by the studios that controlled her from childhood. And in the eyes of the public, her behavior was often judged as criminal, even though it was the system that failed her. From her teenage years, MGM fed her amphetamines to stay awake for long shoots and barbiturates to sleep. As she aged, this toxic cycle became an addiction. Garland became erratic, missed performances, and was labeled unreliable. Studios dropped her. She was sued for walking off sets and lost custody battles due to her substance abuse. In the 1950s and 60s, addiction was not viewed with compassion. Garland's downward spiral was seen as self-inflicted. But behind it all was the dark reality of child exploitation and overmedication. Judy's battles with drugs and alcohol were tragic, and in a just world, it was the studio system that should have been on trial. She died in 1969 from a barbiturate overdose. She was only 47. Lana Turner was one of the most glamorous screen sirens of the 1940s and 50s, a beauty with a turbulent personal life. But in 1958, her name made headlines for something far darker than any of her films. Turner's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed and killed her mother's gangster boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato, during a violent altercation in their Beverly Hills home. Stompanato was known for being abusive and controlling. On the night of the killing, he allegedly threatened to kill Lana during a heated fight. Cheryl, then just 14 years old, said she acted to protect her mother. She grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed him in the chest. The case exploded in the press. The public was fascinated by the mix of Hollywood glamour, mob ties, and teenage violence. During the inquest, Lana gave an emotional testimony that swayed public sympathy. The jury ultimately ruled the killing as justifiable homicide. Though Cheryl wasn't charged, rumors swirled for years. Some believed Lana may have wielded the knife herself. The scandal cast a shadow over her image, yet paradoxically, it also revived her fading career. The Stompanato case remains one of the most shocking real-life dramas in Hollywood history. Gig Young was an Oscar-winning actor, best known for They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And a charming screen presence in many films and TV roles. But behind the charisma was a man tormented by personal demons. In 1978, Young shocked the world when he murdered his fifth wife, Kim Schmidt, and then turned the gun on himself in what police ruled a murder-suicide. The couple had only been married for 3 weeks. Friends said Young struggled with severe alcoholism and mental illness for decades. Studios often dropped him due to erratic behavior. His charm and wit on screen masked a history of depression and self-destruction. Some close to him believed he was deeply paranoid in his final years. Suspicious even of those who loved him, the tragedy unfolded in their New York apartment. No note was left. Kim Schmidt, an up-and-coming actress, was just 31 years old. Gig Young was 64. The murder-suicide sent shockwaves through Hollywood. How could such a respected, award-winning actor commit such a violent act? To this day, the case remains one of the darkest ends to a golden age career, a haunting reminder of how fame cannot shield one from inner torment.